fill out the credential form. Live stream, got it. Nice. Okay. Let me get going here. Welcome to the October meeting of the 43rd Democrats. Credential form. And if everyone can mute, please, that'd be great. Where is it? Here we go. Okay. There we go. Welcome to the October meeting of the 43rd Democrats. We posted into the chat the credentialing form. If you're a 43rd member, if you can fill that out so that we can record that you're here. This will help us make sure we have quorum so that we can conduct all the business we need to conduct tonight. In the meantime, while y'all are doing that, we're admitting new people. I will take us through our introductory matters. Welcome. If you need voting code help tonight, please reach out to tally@43rddemocrats.org and we will assist you on that. General meeting operations. If you need to seek the floor, please raise your hand and one of the others on the board will note that and make sure that I'm aware of it. Because of the wonders of Zoom, I'm often not aware of the things that are happening with you all as I am doing presentations and Zoom is doing its thing. If we need to take a quick poll, we may use the reactions button. Yes, no, those are under the reactions, the participant panel. Chat will be disabled sometimes throughout the meeting just to help us flow better. If you have technical difficulties, please reach out to anybody with co-host next to their name and they will help you. Meeting norms, just a reminder, treat each other with dignity and respect. If you don't know, ask, step up, step back. We're all volunteers here. We rely upon you, but we also don't want to hold the floor beyond when we should. Everyone is a volunteer and together we can get out of here by 9 p.m. Robert's Rules of Order is how we run the meetings. You don't need to know them to participate. If you'd like to contribute, just raise your hand and we'll help you make the motion. If you're a member, you have the full right to participate. If you need us to slow down, etc., just raise your hand and ask us. Please make sure that you're using Robert's Rules for good and not for evil. The more you slow down the works, using Robert's Rules for evil, the harder and longer the meetings become. And then land acknowledgement. And as a reminder, as we do each time, just a reminder that the 43rd Democrats pays rent to the Duwamish tribe through Real Rent Duwamish, and we would encourage you to consider that as well. Our land acknowledgement. Although we are all joining virtually tonight, we'd like to start this event acknowledging that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. If you'd like to learn more about whose land you occupy, see the map at native-land.ca. All right. With that, we will turn towards the agenda. Let me paste this into the chat if I can get. Oh, Zoom, you are just so lovely. Here is the agenda. All right, pasted the agenda into chat. Do we have an approval of the agenda? I'd like to motion for that. So please raise your hand. Is there anybody who's, see, somebody's raised their hand. Give me a second here while I figure out whom. Jacob, thank you for that. I see a second from Liam. Thank you. We have the agenda. Approval of the minutes from September. Let me put this also into, oh, I already had it there. Let me put this into the chat. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from September? Liam, I see your hand. Is there a second? I see a second. I would like to pass this by acclamation. Is there anyone who does not want to approve the minutes from December? So, sorry, September. If so, please raise your hand. Anyone? All right. Not seeing any hands raised. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Close out of these. All right. What do we have? It is October 17th. Ballots are dropping imminently. Yes, Ellen?
I'm sorry, did I miss the approval of the agenda?
Yes, we did approve the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll put it in.
It's 17th of September, of October, and ballots are dropping imminently here. And so this is a heavy get out the vote period for the 43rd and all of our endorsed candidates. We are sending out emails to you all with get out the vote opportunities. We would encourage you to look at those and see how you might be able to help our endorsed candidates with their campaigns. We've got a really packed agenda tonight, so I'm just going to quickly go over it. First off, we got an update from endorsed candidates. We have a consideration of a past endorsement. We have a few resolutions to talk about, one on Ukraine, one on the Seattle. Wait a second.
I think it's number 6.
The Seattle Solidarity budget. Sorry, no, there it is. The rent. Here it is. The renters' rights, Ukraine renters' rights. My subheads were getting the best of me. Then we have a presentation, the Seattle Solidarity budget, and a resolution there, and then an update on the Kaiser strike. So first off, and to be respectful of their time, we've got a number of candidates here who are here to speak and give us a short update on their campaign, and we'll go with them in order. If Alex, if you can raise your hand so someone can unmute you and spotlight you, that would be great. And I'm going to stop sharing. Is Alex here? All right. Derek, are you here for Alex?
Yeah, I'm here for Alex tonight. Alex, I don't know if Joy is here, but I know both of them have a forum tonight in Mount Baker. Okay. And so I've been sent in Alex's place. For those that don't know me, I've been Alex's partner for 7 years. I've also been a board member of the 43rd LD, former chair of the King County Young Democrats, and former president of the Young Democrats of Washington. And I'm very thankful, and I know the campaign is very thankful for the 43rd's endorsement last meeting. Since then, we've had a few more endorsements, including the King County Democrats and the Working Families Party, and a few more. And it's great. The momentum's building. It's getting down to the wire, as Paul said. So we're definitely getting out the door, knocking doors. We've knocked over 13,000 doors, and this weekend we plan to go over 15,000 doors knocked throughout the campaign. Our next Get Out the Vote community canvas is going to be Saturday. That's at Rogers Playground at 11 a.m. I'll put a link in the chat because I don't expect y'all to remember it just from me saying it. But you can go to our website, or Alex's website, alexforseattle.com/events. There's Get Out to Vote activities every weekend. And there's also a few more debates. If you haven't had the chance to hear from the candidates, there's plenty of debates this final week. And once again, we appreciate the support of the 43rd District Democrats and the endorsement. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Derek. And best of luck to Alex. Let's see. Next up, Dan Strauss. You can raise your
Yeah,
hand.
hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on my phone and I'm coming to you. Apologies for the weird lighting. I'm coming to you live from my truck. Just finished up canvassing. You can see I've got my suit jacket, my walking boots, and empty food canister down there because we're working a full-time job at City Council right now representing you in District 6 and getting out and canvassing every single minute. Between canvassing and here, I went and honored the Ballard Senior Center and their 50th anniversary tonight. But what I can tell you is that, you know, things are better today and better's not good enough for me. That's why I'm running and that's why I'm proud to be endorsed by you. What I know is that we cannot lose any momentum on the positive trajectory that we're on. You know, I'm the only candidate in this race endorsed by unions. I'm the only candidate in this race endorsed by community organizations. I'm the only candidate in this race that is endorsed by Democratic organizations and elected officials, currently elected officials, that is, including Mayor Bruce Harrell. So we're out canvassing as much as possible. Would love to have you join us. Ryan, my campaign manager, is here on the line. Ryan, if you could put your email address in the chat so that folks can reach out to you. Would love to have you out canvassing or just sharing with your friends that it is now time. I think everyone in this room has already used their democracy vouchers because everyone here is civically engaged. But right now is a good time to remind your friends that you got to use your democracy vouchers because ballots go out tomorrow. It takes the city a couple days, up to a week to process them. And so the faster you get them in, the better, because now is the go moment. And I really appreciate everyone's support in the 43rd District's endorsement.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Dan. And best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Andrew Lewis. Is Andrew here? We have Andrew. All right. Don't seem to think Andrew's here. All right, Gina, Gina Top.
I am here. Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you to the 43rd District Democrats. I'm Gina Top, and I am the your endorsed candidate for Seattle School Board here in District 6. And I've got my little one here, and she is going to start complaining real quick, so I'll make it real fast. I really appreciate your endorsement. For school board races are a little different in the fact that, they are the primary is just a district, but come to general, it's citywide. So I've got the awesome responsibility of making sure that there is name recognition across the city, which is why the LDs are so important. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing to get out the vote. I will put my contact information in the chat if folks have specific questions about Seattle Public Schools, or if they want to come out and help me canvass. But thank you so much to the 43rd for your endorsement.
Right. Thank you. Andrew, looks like you are here now. You can raise your hand and we'll get you muted and give you time.
Thank you so much. Sorry it took me a second to register and get in here. 43rd District Democrats, it's really good to be here. About how long do you want me to go here? Oh, for 2 minutes. Okay, great. Look, really excited to be here. Very, very proud to be endorsed by the 43rd District Democrats and the 36th District and the King County Democrats. I'm the only person in this race endorsed by Democratic Party organizations. and really, really proud of the reception that we're getting out at the doors. We're working hard. We know that this is going to be a tough race. Special interests, including MAGA Republican donors like George Petrie, are putting independent money in to try to elect my opponent. And my opponent has just gone up on the airwaves with an incredibly misleading attack ad, essentially accusing me of supporting, I mean, I don't know if there's any other way to say it, supporting the deaths of community members for supporting public health best practices and how we structure and construct our drug laws. These attacks are disgusting. These attacks are the kinds of things you expect to see in a Tiffany Smiley ad. We are stepping up to it. We're getting out the doors and spreading our message of keeping progressive leadership at City Hall, keeping the work together that we did with my colleague, Councilmember Mosqueda, who's here on the line, who I see where I co-sponsored Jumpstart with under Councilmember Mosqueda's leadership, working with my colleagues to advance behavioral mental health alternative responses to 911 calls, passing a Park District levy that is going to update half of our community centers to be climate resilience locations in extreme weather events. This is the work that I'm doing. We are out there doorbelling almost every single evening. I'll put my email in the chat. Reach out to us if you want to come join us. It's a fun time. We tend to hang out afterwards, but we're out there knocking doors. We're spreading the word. If you have a free evening, if you have some free time on a weekend, we will plug you in. We would love to have you out there in the field with us. Reach out anytime. Excited to stand in solidarity with you and very proud to be endorsed by the 43rd District Democrats.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Good luck. Last up, Teresa Mosqueda.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the 43rd. Thank you for your generous support. I'm honored to be here as an endorsed member of the 43rd, but also every single legislative district Democrat organization and the King County Dems, along with Governor Inslee, Bob Ferguson, Mayor Harold, Executive Constantine, and many of the members of City Council and King County Council. I cannot wait with your support to be the first Latina to be elected to King County Council. With your support, we can turn out folks in the 43rd. A lot of people don't realize that the King County Council District 8 seat basically goes up to Belltown. It goes up to Pike Place Market and most of downtown. In fact, it goes right up near South Lake Union and up to Capitol Hill. So it's a really exciting opportunity for the 43rd to remind people to vote in this King County race. In addition to breaking glass ceilings and being the first Latina and bringing representative democracy to King County Council, an area that represents half people of color and almost a quarter immigrants and refugees. I'm really thrilled that I'll be able to be there as a strong progressive labor Democrat to expand access to housing, workforce support, small business investments, and really importantly, health. The main reason that, as you know, I've wanted to be on King County Council is that it is the place to invest in public health and to address the shadow pandemic through public investments and improved policy for isolation, depression, substance abuse, mental health issues, all of the issues that have only gotten worse during the pandemic. And I know when we invest more in these issues, we can increase our economic health as well as our population health. So thank you for getting the word out. And 43rd, thank you for reminding folks about the overlap of King County District 8 position, downtown, Capitol Hill, and throughout the 43rd. It's been my honor to work with you, and just want to say, if you are thinking about donating in the last few weeks here, we're trying to get messages up on Spanish radio and some of the local newspapers, especially to turn out voters who don't usually vote. So thank you for considering any additional donation for Spanish language radio as we get out the vote in the last few weeks here. Thank you. And I dropped in some info.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. And with that, let me take back the spotlight. All right. And with that, thank you to all our candidates. And as a reminder, you can find our list of endorsed candidates on our website. We'll put it into chat here as well. From the websites, you can go and find volunteer opportunities to help get out the vote for the candidates. And we'll also be sending out emails in the next few weeks with those opportunities so that you can help get the vote out. Before we turn on to our next agenda item, if you are a 43rd member, please credential yourself so that we can make sure we have quorum so that we can do the business of this meeting. Right now, we are at 12 out of 25 people. With 27 people here, I am hoping that we've got enough to have quorum. We'll just let that sit for a little bit to make sure that we've got quorum. All right. Let me also put the, while we're waiting here, let me put the agenda in here as well. While we're waiting for people to credential themselves, we'll keep moving forward in presentations. So there is, let's see how to frame this. For port position 5, we endorse Fred Felleman. In between the time of endorsement and today, the port issued a notice of an ethics investigation and findings on Fred Felleman. The details are in the agenda. I would encourage you to read those carefully, as this is sort of an unprecedented event. I wanted to leave it to the membership to determine whether we want to continue with our endorsement or rescind that endorsement. I would encourage you, we're still waiting for credentialing to take a look at that in the agenda. So I'll just give you everybody a minute to take a look at that. Before we go on, does everyone had a chance to take a look at those? Or any questions anyone might have? Linda, yes.
I do hope people will take a look at Fred's statement, which is in the agenda. It's too long to put in the chat.
Yes, thank you, Linda. Elaine, if you can sign in using the credential form here rather than using the chat. Thanks. And we do not have quorum yet at this point. We've got 16 16 people who are voting members. There's also 3 people who, sorry, I gotta find it. There's 3 people who have signed in with what looks to be invalid voting codes. I will paste them into the chat. And if, sorry, I'll paste them in the chat. And if they're yours, if you can reach out to Tally at 43rddemocrats.org, we'll see if we can help sort it out. Bruce, can you reach out to Tally at 43rd Democrats, please?
Okay, I'll try it.
The voting codes would have gone out this evening at about 6 o'clock.
Paul? John Comerford, I got 4 different codes.
Okay, give
One of
me
them
a
is valid that's on here now.
second here. One moment. Oh, we've got you in here 3 times, John.
Does that mean I got 3 votes or
No. Just give me a second here. I'm seeing which one is valid one. All right, John, I'm going to direct message you this one, and I think this should be it. Oh, no. Huh. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You use the correct one. We will mark you as being valid. Okay. Let's see, we, unfortunately, we still do not have, quorum. So without quorum, we'll be unable to vote for any of the resolutions. And the current issue of Fred Fellman's endorsement, we'll also not be able to take any steps on. However, that doesn't mean that all is lost yet. Let me go back to the agenda. Even without that, unfortunately, so this unfortunately means that we're unable to take a vote on the Ukraine resolution, or the renters' rights resolution. However, we will give John, if you would like, a couple minutes to talk to that resolution again. Let me put your agendas in there again. Let me post Ukraine resolution in here. Oh, sorry. Zoom.
Your
I need
image
to
appears.
change it to go to everybody. Okay, there's the agenda to everybody. Here is the Ukraine resolution. And okay. John, would you like to speak to that for a few minutes?
Yes, I would. What's going on in Ukraine is the worst genocide in Europe since the Balkan genocide 20 years ago. The invasion of Ukraine was unprovoked, and it's a violation of the rule of the international rules that have prevailed since the end of the Second World War. And if the Russians win, it will be a green light for every psychopathic dictator on the planet to invade a country. People are complaining about the amount of money that's been spent. It's really a very small amount of our military budget when you figure it out. The opposition of the Trumpies to giving aid to them is based on a general growth of the fascist sentiment on this planet, whether it's Hungary or it's Russia or the long-lived theocratic fascism of Iran. There's actually an axis of countries, anti-democratic totalitarian countries now. It's Russia, Iran, and China, with some subsidiary people like North Korea. And it's a very serious threat to human freedom. And I truly believe that everybody, if they really understood what is at stake here, they would have no problem voting for it. If they're not Trumpies who want to have this new thing. There's some things about Trumpism that are comparable to things that existed in the 30s before we went into the Second World War. Pro-Nazi sentiment and anti-Semitism and so on. We're getting a lot of anti-Semitism from Iran. So I hope you will think very seriously about this. And when we get a chance, vote for it.
All right. Thank you, John. We'll continue to bring that forward for the next meeting of quorum. Next up, we have got on the agenda, we have a resolution to support the Office of creating the Office of Renters' Rights. Dawn, would you like, oh, sorry, Linda, before we move on to that.
How far away from a quorum are we?
We are at 18 at the moment, 19. 19, 20, 21, we're 4 away.
Thank you.
All right, sorry, Dawn, if you can speak to this.
Hi, thank you, Paul. So it has come to my attention that there is a letter that is circulating, and quite a few housing and civil rights and social and racial justice advocates and organizations have signed this letter on an official capacity and endorsed this letter for the Office of Renters' Rights or Rental Rights and Standards. And I wanted to address, and we drafted a resolution to see if we would be willing as the 43rd body to officially sign and endorse this letter and add our names to the roster. And I'm also speaking as somebody with lived experience with housing insecurity and code violations, and as a worker, a labor union member, and renter, that renters make up more than half of Seattle's population. And we have a Seattle Code, Office of Codes and Zoning, the Seattle Department of Construction Inspections, SDCI. And myself included have added my name to multiple issues at stake for that, and code violations. And there are other issues at stake that this Office of Renters' Rights and Standards could help with eviction prevention and other illicit and discriminatory practices placed upon renters. And in 2021, only 5 fines were issued from the 3,285 complaints and questions filed by the renters to the Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections, which is only 0.15% of the total complaints that were given to the SDCI. There are other issues at stake, like MFTE compliance. There are many third-party MFTE applications, and the Office of Renters' Rights and Standards could help standardize and assist with MFTE applications to make that process less discriminatory and more fair and standardized. Seattle's demonstrated supporting and committed work, or has committed to supporting renters or workers' rights by creating the Seattle Office of Labor Standards, an agency that has statutory enforcement power to procure restitution and fines when workers' rights are violated. And recently, the Seattle Renters Organizing Council has drafted a sign-on letter calling for the Seattle City Council to protect the health, well-being, and rights of over 400,000 renters by creating an Office of Renters' Rights Standards. In this resolution, Paul, can you screen share it and show? Yeah. We have included the 43rd Democrats platform regarding renters' rights, housing, and other important platform issues related to the Office of Renters' Rights and Standards. As a renter with housing insecurity and as somebody that has regular relationships with the Renters Commission, it is unfair to put the onus on renters from the Renters Commission solely and from the office of the newly stated Office of the Seattle Renters Organizing Council. And if you can scroll down, we are also in the Washington state, not even within the top 30 states that progressively protect the rights, well-being, safety, and security of renters. The cities of San Francisco and Oakland have a very similar office called a rent board, and they protect renters from skyrocketing rents and fees, and also with protections and enforcement from code violations and living violations to ensure that each renter lives in a safe, secure home, free from mold, mildew, breakage, flooding. And so we just ask that we all adopt this Office of Renters' Rights and agree to sign as a body the form that I will put in the chat, and I will let you all make that decision. We can't have quorum yet, of course, but hopefully we can address this and we can think on it in the next meeting to adapt and endorse and sign as a body for the Office of Renters' Rights and Standards. Are there any questions? Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied, y'all.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, could you give us a little bit more of an idea on what this office would do in comparison to the offices that already exist? Like, would this essentially be taking over some of the responsibilities that the tenants union is doing? Or is this, are we imagining that this is like pulling in duties from like the Office of Civil Rights and the Office of Construction and Inspection, and it's just trying to like take all renters' things and that already exist and put them under one house?
Yes, it is it is putting all of these issues and putting them under one house and providing legal counsel and outreach workers and ensuring that there are people in place, paid workers in this office staff in place. And I believe in the resolution that we created that it makes sure that the Renters Commission, the Renters Council, the Office of Housing, and the Department of Neighborhoods are also involved in this office. And it would just all conglomerate this into one focused area for tenants' rights and Office of Housing or renters' rights. Does that answer?
Yeah, thanks for that clarification.
Are there
In
any other?
addition, sorry, just to add on to that, in addition to, just to reiterate what Dawn was saying earlier, right now renters are disadvantaged in enforcement. We spend a lot of time and energy with things like police, with the city's attorney's office prosecuting people. What we don't do is invest a lot of energy into ensuring that landlords provide a safe housing, that it's healthy housing, that they're following all the laws that they're supposed to in order to ensure that renters have that safe, secure, stable housing that everyone deserves. And so this office helps by providing a investigative and enforcement arm to the laws that we already have in the book, which we don't currently enforce typically unless a renter raises an issue and then fights for it on their own.
Ellen has her hand raised.
Yeah, thanks, Dawn. There's a question in the chat from Joseph Roberts about how would the office be financed?
I do believe that Tammy Morales, Councilmember Tammy Morales, has allocated a budget for the Office of Renters' Rights and Standards, and would, again, we would want to pull and cull from other departments for this office, and that they would also implement paid workers from lived experience as renters, and renters that have lived experience with housing insecurities and lived experience with not living in a safe environment or with evictions in this role. And this is under Councilmember Tammy Morales. Tammy Morales has secured a small budget for this office. Yes, Elaine.
Also how, around the money, I know Tenants Union has kind of been dependent on funding from King County, that just depending on the political winds and what, budget shortfalls exist, they can have, a big chunk of their budget undermined. So that, funding for that purpose is really always a battle, and it would kind of put them in competition then with this office. And in a way, it's helpful to have people, in civil society, not tied to government, who are doing a lot of advocacy because they are closer to the populations and also serve as advocates, when there are hearings. So the concern with it is it's a great plan, and it's ambitious, and given the city's commitment to tenants all along, and the county as well, it seems like a pretty big push.
Are there any concerns or recommendations that anyone here would have? And Paul, would you think it's fair if I gave out my email? And
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just for clarity, like, I think the tenants union does incredibly important work.
Mhm.
And even with this office, I think we still need the tenants union. The critical difference here is that the tenants union doesn't have any enforcement authority. You can't make a landlord follow the law, right? Whereas the Office of Renters' Rights would be able to ensure that landlords follow the law or have suffer some sort of legal repercussions for not doing so.
That is what this office would be primarily in charge of, is ensuring that people are following the legal recourse or having repercussions and enforcement of repercussions, enforcement of fines.
All right, any other questions?
If we do not have quorum, may we add this to the agenda for
Yeah, we'll carry these over to the next. I'll just, for transparency, so you all can see, this is our quorum, our credentialing tallying sheet that Sophia has made for us. Thank you, Sophia. We are currently at 22. I just want you to all know that I'm not trying to gatekeep any votes here. We just need to get to 25 so that we can have quorum and vote on these things. With that, while we're waiting to see if we're able to reach quorum, we'll continue on in the agenda, and we'll see if we can have a presentation on the Civil Solidarity budget. Do we have, let me just remind myself. Jody. Is Jody here yet?
Actually, I'm giving the presentation
Oh,
on
okay.
solidarity budget.
Sure, yeah, if you can raise your hand so we can get you spotlighted and. Perfect. All right. If you would like to. If you would like to present, just let us know. We can make sure that you have the ability to do that if you don't already.
Yeah, I have a few slides. Let me find them. Yeah, I can't just yet present.
Okay. Second. Okay. Should be able to present now.
Okay. Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. So, hi, I'm Latanya. I use they, them pronouns. I'm with Solidarity Budget. If I look a little tired, I'm on the East Coast. So I'm actually happy to be starting a little earlier than I expected. I appreciate you all having me here. And I thank Paul for helping to coordinate. I'll just do a quick little overview of our stuff. If you have any questions, I think there's a packet that you all received of our overview. And so if you took a look at that, this is pretty similar. So here I go. So Solidarity Budget, we kind of came together in 2020 when Jenny Durkin promised jumpstart money to several organizing groups across multiple movements. And we also were coming together during the 2020 uprisings after the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Oops, I went too far. And so in 2020, we had some core areas where we focused. We had several signatories with us, and it was a bunch of small groups kind of organizing together. That year, we were able to stop the gutting of Jumpstart. We had the first defunding of SPD's budget by $75 million. And a lot of those funds were also went into community. We had $30 million towards participatory budgeting. And we had a reversal of some harmful cuts to vital public services and investments in transit, housing, and the Green New Deal. And then the next year after that, we were the only city to reduce SPD's budget 2 years in a row. And a lot of that was just kind of waste in their budget. We learned in 2020 that council had never actually asked for an itemized budget from SPD. Last year, we kind of focused on some areas, How's Our Neighbors, the climate resiliency hubs, and we pushed a budget to live, a budget to thrive, where we focused on some egregious policies from our current mayor, Harold, and focused on some things that we needed, like housing and end to sweeps and more compassion for folks living in the street, as well as solutions to our climate catastrophe. So we were able to abrogate a few ghost cops last year. Ghost cops are cops that SPD gets money for, but can't actually hire. I'm sure no one's surprised that they have a staffing problem, and so they can't hire as many people as they are getting funded. So that money gets to go back into the general fund. We also stopped ShotSpotter, which is a very ineffective gunshot detection surveillance system that is on the budget again this year. We'll be fighting for that. And we also were able to limit some of the Jumpstart damage. We are facing that again this year. So this year, I'm gonna skip that. This year we kind of have 9 guarantees where we're focused on areas where we think that investments will help community members to do well. We have communication, which focuses a lot on digital equity and a more robust municipal internet. Our care guarantee focuses on child care workers, as well as having universal child care for folks who have work or school. Also expanding funding for programs that are for people living with disabilities, as well as our elders. Our food guarantee focuses on, having more access to food for folks and more sovereignty around that so that they're not just reliant on food banks when they're struggling. So we want to advocate for more community-owned green spaces, kind of like the Black Lives Memorial Garden at Cal Anderson, which is facing being torn down right now by parks. We also have a housing guarantee focused on affordable, accessible housing for all income levels, as well as immediate non-congregate shelter options for folks experiencing homelessness. We are working with some labor to try and push for some living wage guarantees. Last year, the city had UW do a study on nonprofit human service workers, and they found that they make 37% less than people who with the same education and experience doing similar work. We're also pushing for all city workers to make a living wage so that if you work in Seattle, you can actually afford to live here. And closing the income gap between executives and lowest paid workers. Our income guarantee is a new one for us. It's guaranteed basic income. We recently had a guaranteed basic income panel. We had King County Council member Zahalai on there, along with some folks from some nonprofits and one person from Tacoma, talking about how, you give people unconditional monthly payments and it changes their lives in so many amazing ways. So we're pushing for a program that would focus on people who have the most impact with our criminal systems of policing, courts, folks who experience sweeps, people who are in over-policed neighborhoods, and including folks who encounter the family policing system or foster care. Under healthcare, we want more high quality, unconditional healthcare options for folks, both preventative and aftercare for when people die. We want more accessible, free, safe options for drug user health that's supportive of individual autonomy. Our young people have been very clear that they are struggling. So we definitely want more supportive and culturally competent adults who engage with young people. And we want it to all be non-carceral, so not surveillance, not conditional, and not linked to criminal supervision. I think that's all. Oh, two more. Transportation guarantee, fast, frequent, free mass transit, more sidewalks, more bike lanes, pedestrianized streets to create safer, healthier, more welcoming environments, intersections designed for pedestrians and biker safety, as well as electrified service vehicles. And under a climate action and resiliency guarantee, we want fully funded Green New Deal oversight board priorities, as well as community resiliency hubs, which includes more community resilience, which includes the climate resiliency hubs. And that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully I came in under time. So yeah, we have information on our website. We are also, a couple of things that aren't in there, we're fighting to stop the raid on Jumpstart. There isn't a lot of attempt to do that. We have a lot of volunteers who come through the budget, and so we find the things that are problematic and we bring them to council members' attention, primarily budget chair Mosqueda, as well as we're pushing for some progressive revenue to be into this budget. If you're aware of the budget, we are looking at something like a $251 million budget deficit next year. And so getting progressive revenue this year gives us a chance to fill some of that gap. The mayor did not put any in his budget, and so we're pushing for council to put some in theirs. I'll leave it at that. Any questions?
Take a look, Tanya. Are there any questions about the Seattle Solidarity budget? Linda, yes.
Question about revenue. What kinds of progressive or sources are you looking at?
Great question. Let me see what my colleagues, that's not my area, but I think there was There's a capital gains one, I think, increasing the jumpstart tax. And then there was a third one that I remember her not being able to remember at our last meeting. So I don't have that answer, but I can get it to you. I can email Paul and get that to you. But there is a TRU did a report. I think there's 13 options in there. And it sounds like a few of them are at the city level, but the most of them are at the state level. So there were only a few viable options on there for this budget, this budget time, but the rest would have to go to the state. And I can share that out as well. There's a task force. There was a task force who put out a report, like as part of the city task force, but then the Transit Riders Union did a more in-depth report. Hi, Ryan. I'm just excited to see a familiar face. Ryan joined us yesterday for a public comment workshop. That was the first time we met, actually.
Great. Any additional questions?
I will add, if you're excited about giving public comment, we do have public comment tomorrow. There's a public hearing from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and you can sign in 2 hours in advance, remote, to get in line. And then if you're in person, you can sign up about 30 minutes before. But tomorrow, the whole entire time from starting at 5 until everyone is done, it's just an opportunity for our community to give public comment. So very much encourage you to do that. Awesome.
Do you have a link to where people can find more information on that?
Yeah, it looks like, let me see, what'd you put in there? Yep, Ryan put our call to action in the thread right there. Yes, we're super excited for GBI.
Right.
We had such a great panel.
Okay.
I'm gonna send a bunch of links, as that's what I'll do. I'll stick around for a minute and I'll drop some links in there. I have a link to our call to, we have a specific call to action just around GBI. And I think the video from our panel from last week is also in there so that you can check that out. But yeah, we're trying to educate folks so that, you know, it's probably unlikely we'll get it this year, but we're still going to fight for it. But the more education that Seattleites have around it, they can understand that this is working all over the country.
GBI, Guaranteed Basic Income?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right. Also, we are now at 26 credentialed voting members, so we will be able to conduct the resolutions. If I can indulge the membership, since we have Latanya here from the East Coast right now and it's very late, if we could consider the resolution to endorse the Seattle Solidarity budget first, and then we will go back to the Ukraine resolution and start from there. And let me put the Seattle Solidarity budget resolution back in here again. And I will also sorry, let me bump up the size. I will share my screen. And I will walk you through this quickly. So whereas these are parts of our 43rd platform here. So universal basic income, we support nonprofit single payer universal healthcare plan, comprehensive care, including behavioral health treatment, affordable coverage of prescription drugs, et cetera, ending homelessness, safe consumption sites, livable minimum wage, transit and transit-oriented development, affordable health care, adequate human services, especially for people on the margins of society. Second, whereas 32% of our general fund goes toward criminalization and punishment, whereas the Seattle Solidarity budget advocates for all the many things that Latanya talked about. Therefore, be it resolved that the 43rd Democrats endorse the Seattle Solidarity budget. So that's the simple resolution. Are there any questions about the contents or nature of the resolution before we move to for and against of the resolution? Any questions? All right. I'm not seeing any questions. Let me start with, is there anyone who would like to speak against the resolution? If you'd like to speak against it, please raise your hand. All right, seeing nobody interested in speaking against, and we've had a great presentation about what the Seattle Solidarity budget is and the benefits that will bring and how it will build the city. I will just move, I will just ask if we can adopt this resolution by acclamation. So if there's anyone who is opposed to us adopting the resolution to endorse the Seattle Solidarity budget by acclamation, please raise your hand. If you, okay, I see a couple of people, Linda, Tony, you both would like to have a vote rather than acclamation? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, Tony, you as well?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right. That's good. With that, I'll ask again if there's anyone who'd like to speak against the resolution. And we'll have speeches for and against if there's anybody who would like to speak against it. Okay, not seeing anyone. Any objections to us moving to voting on this? Okay, I am not seeing anyone objecting to us moving on to voting. So let's provide, if someone can provide the link to the ballot for the Seattle Solidarity budget so we can do voting. All right, so let's see. Oh, Andrew and Justin have both put the thank you, have put the ballot in the chat. If you can click that and put in your voting code and vote. Yes, no, abstain.
One thing that I want to mention, when you're using your voting code, please also include the dash that is a part of your voting code. Without it, your votes will not be counted. So please include that while you are signing in, credentialing, and also while you're voting.
Thank you for that reminder. Okay, while we are voting on that, we'll leave voting open for a while. We'll now revert back to earlier in our agenda now that we have quorum and can conduct official business. And we will return to the Ukraine resolution. Before I paste that in the chat, is there anyone who has not been able to open that the voting link for the Seattle Solidarity Budget Resolution. All right. Okay, here is the Ukraine resolution again. We have brought this for consideration multiple times. This is, I believe, the first time out of 3 or so that we've had quorum to be able to take it. John gave us a great presentation earlier. And so I'll ask here again if there's anyone who would like to speak against this resolution. Otherwise, we'll proceed to, I'll ask if we can adopt by acclamation. And if there's objection to that, we'll go to an official tallied vote. So is there anyone who would like to speak against this resolution to recognize the sovereignty of Ukraine? Elaine, you would like to speak against this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. With that, we will have speeches. We'll have speeches for and against. Who would like to speak for this resolution? John, would you like to speak again?
Opposition to it, whatever the point is.
Sorry, you'll speak for the resolution, John?
Yes, I will. I'd like to
Okay.
respond to any opposition to it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Elaine, would you like to speak first for 2 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know if I need 2 minutes. It's just the duplicity of the hypocrisy of the United States as relates to who it defends. What we're observing now and the failure of the US to recognize the genocide going on, and actually arm a genocide is makes me question its logic on Ukraine. Also, the fact that the U.S. contributed to the standoff that with Russia in terms of bringing NATO right to its doorstep or threatening to do that. We don't belong in that part of the world. We don't, we don't have if Russia came to Cuba and was installing missiles there, that was an enormous threat to us. But when we do the same to another country, it's not surprising that they react. So I'm not defending Russia. I'm not defending Putin. I think he is a fascist, but nonetheless, the U.S. is a hypocrite, and I can't support its Ukraine in the context of the situation in Palestine.
Right. Thank you. John.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that NATO has always represented a high side of American foreign policy, maybe with a few exceptions. It's not on the same level as its imperialist side, like overthrowing the Guatemalan government and all that kind of stuff. Members of NATO are democratic. They're more social democratic than this country, most of them. The Ukrainian left is solidly behind this NATO support, this support from the United States. They do not believe that NATO is a big bad thing. no, people actually have to jump through hoops to become part of NATO, and they have a right to do that. It's not exactly something that we're corralling them and trying to get them to do. So, I mean, the fact that whatever the United States' failings or errors in the past are concerned, the actual thing that's going on in Ukraine is horrifying. It's portends something more of this kind of thing if we don't support, and Ukraine does not win.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for or against? Peruse, are you wanting to speak for? Peruse, do you want to speak for?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Andrew, do you want to speak for or against?
I want to speak against.
Okay, all right. We'll have the final two for and against here. Andrew, why don't you speak first?
One, I think we can really say we do understand that America supports and everyone supports the sovereignty of Ukraine. But I also think that there's a bit of racism in how we are showing our support to crises happening around the world. There have been crises in countries in West Africa that has been sponsored by the USA, supporting authoritarian regimes in Africa. We saw the coup in Niger and coup in Africa because people were tired of leaders that were supported by America. We saw the war that broke out in Sudan and everywhere went empty while the war is being sponsored by America against the Sudanese citizens. And I think it's really disingenuous when we rate our support for crisis based on how bright your skin color or the skin color of the nation is. This is not real humanitarian. And we are seeing it also happening in Palestine and how it's being turned around. If we are true liberals and we believe in equity and inclusion, then everybody, regardless of how dark your skin color is, should be protected. And we've had enough support for Ukraine. I think Putin is horrible. I think Russia leadership is pure Hitler 2.0. But I also think that we need to consider other crises happening globally in places that, because they are not white, we don't care about. And it's high time. Money also needs to go to those places. Thank you.
And Peruse.
Thank you, Paul, for the opportunity. I'm an Iranian American, and I'm 100% fully back up the Ukrainian community. They were just innocent people that Putin attacked them and killed them and practically destroyed the whole country. And on the other hand, Iran has been making drones and selling to the Putin against them to just go and destroy the whole country and killing innocent children and women and everybody else, individuals. And this is just a matter of the humanity and human rights. It is exactly the same thing. It's happening in Middle East between Israel and Palestine. Palestine people, they are very decent, very, very honest people. It's just Hamas is the terrorist group that Iran is supporting them and supporting the other groups, terrorist group, that they're trying to destabilize the region. So there's nothing against Palestinian people. Palestinian people, they're decent people like me and you, regular people, that they're just victim of this awful terrorist group that they're getting supported from Iran. US gave them $6 billion to Iran, and they just turned around, gave it to the Hamas for all these military equipments and to kill people. So it's just totally unacceptable. Acceptable. This is the matter of humanity and human rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will go to a vote for this. We've heard 2 for, 2 against. So we'll go to a vote for this. Is there someone who can post the link to the ballot into the meeting chat? I just want to make sure everybody has had an opportunity as well to vote on the Seattle Solidarity budget. We will close that in just a minute. So let's see. Andrew has posted the link to the ballot. Please use your voting code on the ballot. As a reminder, as Sophia said, please make sure that you use the hyphen that is in the middle of the voting code. Okay. Before we'll leave that open for a bit. I just want to make sure, is there anyone who's not had a chance to vote on the Seattle Solidarity budget? Is there anyone who's not had a chance? Okay. Sophia, do we have the results of the Seattle Solidarity budget?
Yeah, let me close that ballot really fast right now first. And the ballot has been closed. The results are scrolling. Yes, we had a total of 21 votes, or sorry, 22 votes. 1 person abstained. Amongst the abstention votes, we had 19 yeses and 2 nos. So the resolution passes.
All right, thank you, Sophia. We will next do the resolution for the Seattle Office of Renters' Rights. Allow me to put that into the chat here. And again, I will ask if there's anyone who would like to vote against, who would like to speak against the resolution. My apologies there. So anyone would like to speak against the resolution? If so, please raise your hand. Let's see, Linda, you're raising your hand to speak against the resolution? Okay. With that, is there anyone who would like to speak for the resolution? We had the presentation earlier on what the resolution was. There's someone who'd like to speak for the resolution. All right, Dawn, thank you. All right. Dawn, would you like to go first?
No, I'd like Linda to go.
You'd like to go? Okay. Linda, would you be okay going first?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
I'm speaking in opposition, not because I disagree with the idea or the intent of the resolution, but because I think it is very incomplete in looking at what the real issues are in providing affordable housing in the city of Seattle. We have a duplex that we built with basically retirement funds and with some savings. We live in the top floor. We rent out the basement. We keep it deliberately under market because we like to have long-term renters and we like to have good relations with our renters. And we try to keep it as a decent, livable place. But recently, it has become incredibly difficult for us as small landlords with few resources to find out exactly how we are supposed to be even writing a lease. We finally had to join the renters, the Rental Housing Association, which is costing us not an insignificant sum just to get the proper forms for a lease and for a month-to-month rental to be signed. There is no help anywhere in the city of Seattle that's official for helping landlords like us stay in compliance, which is what we want to do. And unless this body begins to pay attention to how you keep small landlords and affordable units in circulation, in existence, you're going to continue to face the problems you face. And I speak as someone with lived experience. When John and I met, we were in a group house. That's how we met, because we needed inexpensive housing. And the landlord doubled the rent on the house, and the whole house broke up as a result. We have that experience. We stayed together because by that time we found out we liked each other. But the fact is that the city needs to give small landlords like us the kind of help in compliance rather than simply enforcement and coming down on us harder financially than our property taxes and other requirements are already doing.
All right. Thank you, Linda.
That's what I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Dawn.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for expressing your concerns as a small landlord. I think that the Office of Renters' Rights and Standards would actually help you as a small landlord. This is not a resolution for affordable housing, although we definitely need assistance and more actions for affordable housing. This is about compliance, and this is about enforcement of codes and standards. This would help you, Linda, by helping small landlords and large landlords with us ensuring a common, simple lease for you all. This would be a great liaison for small landlords, large landlords, and this office would specifically be for renters' rights, tenants' rights. But I thank you so much for expressing your interest, and I assure you that this office would actually be in your best interest, in the favor of small landlords as well. Are there any other comments or suggestions from the body before you vote?
Dawn, you can use the time to continue to advocate for the resolution.
Again, I, as a renter myself, and since more than half of Seattle's residents are renters, I just highly encourage you all to vote with your heart. Remember yourselves with lived experience with renting. Know that this would consolidate a lot. This body, this office would consolidate a lot of compliance, a lot of enforcement for safe, standardized housing and eviction protection, and it would enforce better communications within the city bodies. And I just encourage you all to vote. there should be a common lease. There should be renters' rights. There should be liaisons, and this office would ensure that body and those issues are at stake and able to be provided to the city. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dawn. If someone can post the link to the ballot for this resolution as well. Andrew has pasted it into chat. Thank you for that, Andrew. Again, please use your voting code and remember to include the hyphen in your vote.
Paul, if I may.
Yes, you may.
I think there is somebody who is using the wrong voting code. It's coming in as an invalid one, and I'm not seeing any information in our list for it. So if your voting code is 6JEK-9NVE, please send me a message and let me see if I could find your voting code, your actual voting code.
Thank you, Sophia. All right. Let's see. Let me just go through our agenda. We have voted on Ukraine. We are voting on the renters' rights resolution. We had the Seattle Solidarity budget presentation and resolution. And we're running a little bit late here, but we have reps from SEIU Healthcare Union here to talk about the Kaiser Healthcare strike, which is happening. While voting remains open for the resolutions, we will have this presentation. And let's see, I saw, if you can raise your hand, there you are. Elena.
Hi there.
Okay. Hi. Let me, let's get you spotlighted. Oh, sorry, Mia, are you presenting or?
I was just going to introduce Alana Martin, who's
Okay.
on our bargaining team. She's got a lot of great stories to share with you about where we're at in this campaign and what are the next steps and how you as some of our allies could help support workers at Kaiser.
All right, thank you.
Hi there. Thank you, Mia, for the introduction. And thank you all for having me. My name's Alana Martin, and I'm a social worker at Kaiser Permanente in the Capitol Hill campus, and I work primarily in the urgent care. I'm also a member of SEIU 1199 Northwest, as well as a member of our local Kaiser Washington and the national Kaiser bargaining team. I've also previously lived in the 43rd district for a long time, and currently am working in the Capitol Hill campus, like I mentioned. And so, yeah, I wanted to give a little bit of an update. I'm sure many of you guys have been following the news about Kaiser and saw that we reached a tentative agreement at the national table last week, which is really exciting. Have a lot of impact nationally for all of our Kaiser workers. And unfortunately, locally in the Washington state region for Kaiser, we still really have a lot of work to do. We're still really struggling to get a contract there and get what we need to be able to, you know, keep our facilities staffed, keep things safe for our patients. And I just wanted to share a story actually to kind of highlight what's been going on right now in our local neighborhood in Capitol Hill. So as a social worker, I do clinical mental health work, and it actually happens to be Mental Health Month in October. And in Kaiser, Washington, 24% of our patient population that we serve has a mental health diagnosis, which is a big chunk of our patient population. And because our staff kind of across the board, not just in my job class, is anywhere between 15 to 30% paid lower than most of our healthcare colleagues in kind of any direction from Kaiser, it's been really hard to stay staffed, especially, during and following a pandemic. And it's created a lot of safety issues. And so as an urgent care social worker, part of my job is to really be the safety net at Kaiser for our mental health population. And I saw somebody recently who came in, and it was actually their third time in to the urgent care to try to seek mental health support. The first couple times they'd come in, they were having panic attacks, really not doing very well, missing a lot of work. And unfortunately, the first couple times they came in, there was no social worker on duty because we've been so understaffed. And so they did not get a full, complete mental health evaluation. They also were able to get in to see a therapist or a doctor to get their medications adjustments, and we're told it was going to be a 2 or 3 month wait. And so by the time I saw them, they were in a crisis. They were having suicidal ideations, really felt like nobody cared about them. Like they just kept like trying to open the doors that they, I have insurance. I'm so grateful to be able to supposedly have access to the care that I need. And I'm asking for the care that I need. And they just kept being met with kind of closed doors in their faces of, we don't have anybody to see you, or there's nobody that's going to be able to see you for months. And so even though they're doing the right thing to try to get themselves taken care of, unfortunately, our system, because of Kaiser really prioritizing their own bottom line over our patient safety, we haven't been able to staff. And Kaiser has made something like $20 billion in the last 5 years. Just in the first 6 months of this year, they've made $3.3 billion. And what we're asking for is not to get rich, right? It's just literally to be able to be competitive in the market, to be able to hire folks. And so many of my colleagues, I have a department of about 45 people, and we've had our entire department turnover. We've lost over 40 clinical social workers in the last couple of years, which is very telling and like a real picture of kind of what our staffing issues are, right? And every day I walk into the urgent care emergency services, and I don't know, probably 80% of my colleagues there, they're travelers or contract staff. And so those are folks who don't work at Kaiser. They get paid 2 or 3 times as much as actual Kaiser staff, but they're kind of in and out. They're there for 3 to 6 months, not invested in our community, not invested in our patients, and are there or gone. So a lot of issues. Hopefully you're kind of seeing the picture of what some of the safety issues are that are really impacting our patients and people who have lived in this community for a long time. And there's as somebody, I've worked at Kaiser for 21 years, and I was born in the Capitol Hill Kaiser campus, really homegrown here. And I have never seen anything like this in my time in healthcare or as an employee at Kaiser. And so we're really asking for your help and support here. These issues are so critical that our members just finished a strike vote last week, and we voted 99% of our union members to go on strike if it comes to it. Of course, none of us actually want to go on strike. That's not why we went into healthcare, right? We went into healthcare to take care of people. And yeah, we're also ready to do what it takes if we have to. And so our contract expires the end of the month on October 31st. And we are set to go on strike if we're not able to come to a contract prior to that on November 11th. That will go through November 8th. And so we're asking for folks to sign we have a community petition that we can drop into the chat right now. And then also asking for folks, if we do end up going on strike, to come out and join our strike line in Capitol Hill during, anytime during November 1st to November 8th. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you. In addition to signing the community statement of support, coming on the strike line, is there anything else that you all need as you face a potential strike?
I'd say if you could share the petition link out with your network, that would be really helpful. We're trying to gather as many signatures as we can to show that the community and patients are standing with their healthcare worker.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I'm seeing that there's some messages in the chat. There was one question. Is it true that 40% of the Kaiser nurse staff have less than 18 months experience?
If you have the answer to that, I could like 100% to that. I will say, as social work, we always hired social workers for an extensive supervision and had to pass board exam, and because
Alana, sorry, your microphone is broken up. No, it's still doing it.
Okay. Let me see if I can turn it up and just my computer.
Maybe too, if you turn off your video for just a brief moment while you speak, that might improve our audio.
No, we can't.
You're muted.
But I could read your lips, Alana. I think what Alana was saying is, while we can't, confirm that statistic exactly, it does align like qualitatively with what we've been seeing in terms of turnover at the clinics. It's been really hard, not just to recruit staff, but to retain the qualified staff that we do have. So can we get like a nod if I'm on the right path of what you were saying, Alana?
I would like to speak up briefly myself, if that's okay, and say, like for example, I took a job at Kaiser in February, knowing that everybody else, all the other hospitals in the area renegotiated their contracts during the pandemic and got a big bump in pay because of course they did and they deserved it. And so when I took this job at Kaiser, I was like, oh, it's lower pay right now, but I know like we're going to get a big bump in the fall. Like I knew that going into the job. And so I think there's probably a lot of people who are in a similar situation to me, who if we don't get, like if our pay doesn't come up to like market parity with everybody else, tons of people, I mean, myself included, will leave Kaiser because everybody's like waiting and holding their breath to see what's going to happen. That's the experience that a lot of my coworkers who started around the same time as me are dealing with. So it's not just a matter of the people who are, it's absolutely a retention issue, not just a recruiting issue.
All right. Thank you. We've got that link. I'd encourage everyone to consider going to the ourkaiserwa.org link and reading up on it and consider signing on support. So thank you, Alana. All right. Finally, spotlight here. Finally, this evening, why am I not spotlighted? Where am I? Here I am. There we go. Finally, this evening, want to return back to the question of Fred Fellman. Again, to recap.
Before you do that,
Oh, sorry, yes, go ahead.
should we close any of the ballots?
Yes, just let me do a quick double check to make sure.
Okay.
Is there anyone who has who has not voted, who's been having trouble voting? If that's you, please raise your hand right away. Otherwise, we will close the ballots. Anyone? Okay, let's close the ballots. Thank you, Sophia. Returning back to Fred Fellman, this is an unprecedented situation. So we just wanted, as a board, to raise it with the membership and allow the membership to voice its views here. And so at this point, I'll entertain a motion to rescind endorsement if the body wants to do that. Does anyone would like to make a motion? Please raise your hand. Last opportunity. Okay, without a motion on Fred Fellman's endorsement, we will retain our endorsement of Fred Fellman. Thank you for that. Moving into then good of the order while Sophia finishes up tallying.
I could share the results
yes,
right now.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, okay. So with the Ukraine resolution, we have had 27 total votes, among which there was 2 abstentions. We had 11 no votes and 14 yes votes. So it's just a majority, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that passes at 56%. For the renters' rights, we have had 24 total votes, 2 abstentions. We had 1 no and 21 yeses, so that passes overwhelmingly.
All right, thank you. Last up then in the meeting, let me just make sure that with our bouncing back and forth, we did that, we did that, we did that, we did that, we did that. All right, we are, oh, yes, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry that I'm joining late. I was hosting a meet and greet for Ron Davis at my house. So here I am. And I just wanted to get out the word for the class of 2024 for the Institute for Democratic Future. So this is a program for folks who are under 40 who are looking to join the political process in Washington State. And so we do a series of weekend programming with different elected officials and activists around the state. And I will post a link in the chat for more information, but I'd also be happy to talk with anybody individually about what the program's about. We have a number of alumni here in the 43rd, and it has been, I think, a great program for bringing a larger set of voices to the political conversation. It's one of our goals to make sure that, not just the usual folks have access to political networks and power. And so I think it's a really great program and urge folks who are interested to apply or tell your friends.
All right, thank you, Sam. Before we get back to good of the order, we'll go through committee reports. Brad, are you here? Is there anything to say on finance? Okay. Elections, I believe Jacob had to drop. Oh, thank you. Brad's put it into chat, nothing to report. Jacob has had to leave early. His update is that we're going to be passing along campaign events from our endorsed candidates. So as I said earlier, look for emails from us about those opportunities in the coming weeks. And we'll also be connecting PCOs with endorsed candidates so that they can connect with you as a PCO to help get out the vote in your precinct. And on that, we do need more PCOs. Our call to meeting includes information on how you can become a PCO if there's not a PCO in your precinct. So I'd encourage you to look for that. Communications, James, is there anything on the communication front?
No, I'm just back and still catching up. No news for me.
All right, thank you. And I don't believe Nausheen is on the call tonight to talk about fundraising. Dawn, anything on the meeting and event side?
No, nothing to update, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Rob, anything from technology?
Pass for now, but generally looking for a few more volunteers to pitch in. If anyone's nerd out there or knows a nerd who wants to help out, please email tech@43rddemocrats.org.
Thanks. And then King County reps, Andrew Ashiofu or Sophia, anything to bring from the King County side?
Have no updates at this time.
Yeah, there've been no major updates. They're going to send us a get out the votes information for the general election, and we will share that with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Sam, state, anything to say on the state side there?
No updates there.
Okay. All right. And with that, we're at 8:55. Oh, wow. We're actually back on schedule. Is there any good of the order?
John Comerford would like to speak.
Oh.
Hi, Paul. It's just a
yes.
question. Are you looking at having any in-person meetings in the near future? Or are you going to continue virtually?
At this time, we're still continuing virtually. We may talk about it more as a board. We in the new year. We have had several in-person events over the last few months as well to help supplement the general meeting being carried out via Zoom.
Great, thank you.
Anything else for good of the order? Justin, thanks.
Yeah, if we could just get a quick rundown of the voting results again for the Office of Runners' Rights.
Thank you, Justin.
I have my mouth full, sorry. Which one?
I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
24 votes, of which there were 2 abstentions, 1 vote no, and 21 votes yes. So the resolution passes.
Thank you, Ellen.
There were 24 votes yes, or 24 total votes?
24 total votes, 2 abstentions.
Did we have more than 25 or more people signed in at the time of the vote?
Yes, we did.
Cool. So there were some people who abstained by not voting.
presumably. Any other good of the order? All right. Oh,
Andrew.
Andrew.
I just want to share, I know this is outside our LD, but we had a massive influx of refugee and migrants that appeared randomly at a church in Tukwila, and they're mostly from Africa, and there's a huge population of queer folks also. The ask is I'm putting together donations in terms of material donations, and I will share through to see if anyone has any donation they would like to give to them. And I said, I know it's outside our LD, but it's something that I would like support for.
Yeah, if you can get information into the chat, we can do that.
Nothing important. I just want to say I appreciate the child in the picture with Alana, and I just appreciate that as a mom. That's all. Amy has something to say.
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that the 43rd board is a fantastic team, and we could really use more volunteers to step up. Oh, it says it's going to lower my hand in 3 seconds. Oh, never mind. Sorry. It's a new function of Zoom. I wasn't ready for it. Sorry. So we could really use somebody who loves working with people, helping them feel welcome and included, to be our membership chair. And we're always looking for folks who like to write up press releases or post on social media to be part of our communications team. And policy and advocacy work is always a really exciting way to make sure that when we pass resolutions, we're, showing up to marches and giving city council testimony to back up what we believe as a district. And, we also could use a King County Democrats alternate rep, and that person can contribute in a lot of various ways depending on their time availability. So just really want to encourage folks to consider joining our team. The 43rd board is a fantastic group of people to work with, and we'd love to have you on board with us. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for that reminder, Amy. Okay, we are at 9 o'clock. I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And don't forget to get out the vote and to vote when the ballot drops later this week.
Thanks, everybody.